welcome back to the buttonhole series. In today's video we're going to talk about perfecting your buttonhole, which really boils down to two concepts. It's the alignment of your stitches and the tension that you apply to those stitches. So I've got some linen here because linen is very easy to see the weave on, and I'm going to be using some blue pearl cotton since it'll be easy for y'all to see that on the video. But normally, well, really you could use whatever color thread you want, you know, it's sewing you do. And sometimes buttonholes, it's nice for it to blend in, and sometimes it's nice for it to like stand out and, you know, be a little part of the personality of the garment. So like I said, I'm just using some pearl cotton for this one, and because this is linen, this is a case where I might interface it. I'm going to do it though without interfacing, just so I'm going to make my slit here of my buttonhole, and we're going to imagine that this is like a garment and it's lined and all that sort of stuff. So if I going that route, I'm still going to hide my tail. It's like a habit I have every time I do it. So I would still hide my tail, and you can see there's the slit of the buttonhole, and I'm about 1/8 of an inch away. And to get things very, like to perfect it and get things very much in line, you're going to you're going to be between two of the fibers in that fabric. So you don't want to like pierce through one of the threads. You want to be between two of the threads, and you're basically going to set yourself up for a little grid. So here I go with my stitches, and if you were looking for like a quick and easy way to do a buttonhole, I have another video on how to do that. This is just really how to perfect those stitches. So you can see I am now going through the same, if I can imagine that this is a column here, I'm going through the same column between those same two threads, and this is going to create that alignment that we're looking for, which is half of what we are after with perfecting our buttonhole. And then we are again going to go through that same, between the same two, sorry about the beeping, between the same two threads, and pull tight. Now, how hard we pull, I'm actually intentionally pulling a little bit too hard with these first round of stitches, and you can see that my it's separating from my fabric. Now there is a way to fix that. You can kind of just shimmy the threads over and you can fix that fairly easily, but you can also, and it's going to very much depend on what fabric you're doing, so if you really want to perfect it, do a test run on the fabric to see kind of where the sweet spot is for that particular fabric, because you do want to get your stitches taut and, you know, secured down, but you don't want to leave a super big hole. You are going to create a little bit of a hole just with the nature of the beast, and like I said, you can go back over them and kind of heal that. But there's definitely like there's a give and take there. So we're just going to continue, and the spacing, so we already talked about the spacing vertically. I'm going between the same two threads of my fabric, but the spacing like horizontally, if you will, you want to skip a couple threads, and you're basically wanting to skip the number of threads. The width of that you skip should be kind of equal to the width of the purl, because the purl is going to set, you want your purls to touch, so that's kind of set your width there. And this is why I would interface linen right here, because it's kind of separating. But you can see how nicely they are until it started to separate. So let me do this again with interfacing, and that can be another thing if you're using fabric that separates easily like linen. Let me show you how interfacing can help with your situation. So here we go. I've got my interfacing behind my fabric, and this is German interfacing, and what the interfacing is going to do is it's just going to help keep the fibers from moving. Where did my little scissors go? Here they are. Linen, it's very easy for those fibers to come, you know, like unweave themselves, unfortunately. So it's a little bit more challenging, but you can still do it. Let me just trim off this and start her again. So once again, we are going to act like this is a garment. We're going to go from the top to the bottom as if we were going in between the lining and the garment, and we're going to find 2 threads that we want to go between. Here we are. Oh, my camera is, there we go. 2 threads that we want to go in between. Then we can pull up, and that's going to establish the vertical spacing. And you just want to move up, again, the space of that purl. The buttonhole stitch is not the same thing as the blanket stitch. The difference is that the buttonhole stitch has a purl at the end, and that's what makes it so durable, is that as your buttonhole is being worn and used, it's the purls that are kind of being rubbed on, and since they've got some meat to them, you know, with some material in that purl, they are durable. But the buttonhole stitch is not the same width because of that purl, so you want to space out your stitches such that the purls sit just next to each other. You don't want to crowd the purl, otherwise your buttonhole will the crowding will result in the buttonhole like buckling up and not laying nice and flat. So you can see how much that interfacing is helping, right? My stitches are, like, the fibers are not being pulled at too much and separating. Linen separates fairly easily, which is why it's so good for drawn thread. But it can be a little bit cumbersome putting a buttonhole in there, so the interfacing just really helps out the situation. So you just continue in this manner, and you'll have everything lined up, spaced out, laying flat, looking nice, and that's how you perfect a buttonhole stitch. And it does not take long to learn how to do these well. So if you are somebody who is fighting with your sewing machine right now on how to do a buttonhole, and your sewing machine is just letting you down all the time, please consider hand-done buttonholes. I've been doing them for 5 years now, a good 5 years. They have completely changed the game for me. Within the last 5 years, literally I've done one garment, because it had, at the time, it was like, oh, it's got, you know, 6 or 7 buttonholes on it. I was like, oh, I'll just run it through the machine. It had been a long time since I ran any buttonholes through the machine. I was quickly reminded why I haven't been doing it on the machine, and I've never looked back since then. So in the last 5 years, I've done like one garment, deeply regretted it, and ever since, it doesn't matter. Like, Henry's had some outfits with, you know, like between the shirt and like the buttons that go to the shorts, they've got a good 12, 13, 14 buttons on them, and I do every one by hand. So you can see there everything is lined up nice and neat, and that's how you get everything looking nice. So if you have any questions, I have a whole series on this buttonhole series. You can check out other videos over here. Of course, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. And as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I hope to catch y'all next time.